maybe it was in your community or in your industry, and that's what we want to do today. Really pleased that we can welcome to the show Peter Irvine. Peter, thanks very much for joining us on The Morning Kick.
Well, great to be here, Andrew.
One of the things I like about Peter is that he has a diverse background, but I can't think of starting work at the age of 14, Peter. I still remember just playing around soccer at school, but you were getting into the workforce, and 50 years later, you've done marketing, you've had a national and international business. What's life been like as a businessman over those 50 years? What have you seen come and go?
Oh, well, I've seen many recessions come and go. In fact, I had a young guy say to me during the global financial crisis, "This is the worst recession I've been in." I said, "You're not old enough to have been through any others. I've been through a lot and I'm still here today." And it sort of was a wake-up call for him. So yes, there's been those. We had a fire in Gloria Jeans. Coffees have burnt everything to the ground. We had banks wanting money paid back. We had media tearing us apart, right through advertising and Gloria Jeans, and even a bit after that as well.
One of the things we're going to encourage you to do is visit Peter's YouTube channel. We'll put the details on the screen a little bit later. And he tells the story of how he worked his way up through the marketing agency, became the managing director in the last 2 years. That must have been an experience. You were working with some big brands in those times.
Oh, yes. Well, when I started at 14, I mean, it was a small agency, print primarily, maybe a little bit of outdoor, but then it grew and became one of the largest television, radio, outdoor, print, everything. And we launched McDonald's into the country, but we had the Wrigley Company, SC Johnson, all types of brands you could think of, from building products to government to financial. So it was quite an experience, quite a good learning experience.
And so you're responsible for the golden arches on every corner. I will deal with that another day. Peter, I wanted to ask you today about focusing on what matters, because you and I are both hearing that there's a lot of people overwhelmed in business at the moment. They've got to focus on their business, they've got to focus on themselves, and they shouldn't lose sight of family. Can you walk us through some of the things that you would suggest people look at when they're really trying to work out what to do next in business? Because you can't do everything, can you?
Yeah, well, in our short time, let me try and cut it down to a few things, not necessarily in order. One thing I'm reminding business people is that the global financial crisis, but at the same time, the growth of social media has changed the way we do things forever. In the past, when we've had recessions, it's taken years, but it's gone back to normal. There was no normal because, as you know, digital, you're very much involved in that, is a whole new world where people research, they buy. It doesn't mean the end of the retail physical stores, but it's retailers are still slow to embrace how to use that. And so we've got this coronavirus now, which means all our businesses have to totally rethink everything we do. And it's encouraging, even where I live now, the amount of businesses here, from even a hotel, pub that's closed, they've got a drive-through, they're selling fruit and vegetables and chicken products from the chicken butchery inside. That's just one place. There are people doing things, home delivery, touch and go. Like some didn't have credit cards. They want it now because they don't want to have people touching things. It's just changed the mindset. And the interesting thing is Maya, had to go online and have phenomenally seen huge increases in sales, and no one would have expected it. And so we're seeing that. And I read something, it was on YouTube a couple of weeks ago. If you focus on problems, you'll have more problems. But if you focus on solutions, you'll have more opportunities. And we're all about now these days is helping people solve what they need to do today. You don't throw the vision out, but what you've been doing in the past is not working now. People are thinking differently. And it's interesting when you look at the product categories that are growing. And I've reminded a couple of beauty sort of people I know working in the beauty industry where their business sort of died when the shop closed. I said in past recessions, beauty is one of the categories that go because women actually want to feel and look good. We don't even think of that. I read one local paper where bike shop sales are going through the roof because parents are buying bikes for kids to get a bit of exercise, the isolation thing, but we're on our own type thing. But that sort of thing. BCF promoted over the Easter weekend to camp out in your backyard. And I don't know how many people I've spoken to already since Easter who actually had a camping in their backyard with their kids. So you can sow ideas and you can think differently. And people in business, I actually read this great verse in the Bible, in the Message version. It says, God, I have a lot more to tell you, things you never knew existed. This isn't a variation on the same old thing. It's new, brand new, something new you'd never guess or dream up. When you hear this, you won't be able to say, I knew it all along. So there are ideas being birthed, and I'm getting ideas for people that I'm helping. And I've learned that we need to not be, we'll ask ourselves, are we a thermometer or a thermostat? Are we setting the temperature?
Very good.
Or are we just adjusting to what's happening? And too many people are just adjusting. And I was reminded that there are some 6 major businesses in the world, and there's probably more. And where did they originally start? In a garage. You know who they were? Apple, Google, Amazon, Harley, Disney, and Mattel, one of the largest toy companies, in the world. So it's all about innovating. And when people are down and you suggest ideas they never thought of, some get really excited and others go, we could never do that. I said, you're going to have to. You don't have a choice. And it's forced churches online. Now they're innovating in other ways to connect with their people and other people. Sorry, I took a bit long.
No, you're absolutely right. And I love the enthusiasm, because that's what we need right now. It was interesting across different areas. This whole thing of being in isolation has been talked about as being in a bubble. But as business owners, we can't afford to be in a bubble. We need to look outside and see those opportunities. Just recently on LinkedIn, I saw a report on the biggest e-commerce categories that are going through the roof. As you said, beauty is right up there. Bread makers are sold out globally. There you go. There's a new opportunity for you. So we can't afford to stay in the bubble, but we still need to focus. So if I'm going to look at my business about what to do next, I guess I should have had a business plan. I guess I should have had a marketing strategy. Is now the time to put one together?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, it's got to be for now. It has to have 2 things in mind. It has to solve a problem now, and it'll radically change your business. You will have to do things you probably never wanted to do, never thought about doing. And if you don't know how to do it, get a couple of friends, on the Zoom or whatever it is, and ask them, what are some things I can do with my business? And we've done that, and it really works well. Then you've got to implement them. Now I've got people saying, oh, will I do that now, or do I wait, to June? I go, now's the time, what don't you understand? Now is the time to implement that. And I mean, you're fortunate you work in a business that can connect with people very quickly. If it's a magazine, it's next month. It takes time to come out. You can connect with them now, and you've got the right message, the right offer, the right solution, the right this, whatever it is. And I love there was someone I picked up first, this particular one, and people may not be able to see, but I'll show you. Here's a finance broker on LinkedIn. It says, call me, finance available. It's a mortgage broker, and he's got all this toilet paper. Now, we call that borrowed interest.
Speaking to it right now.
Yeah, well, it's called borrowed interest. And, what was the hottest topic? Toilet paper. So people would have gone and Googled. That probably would have come up. There we go.
Already.
But so all he said was, call me, financing available. He didn't have to go into a big spiel about anything. He got everyone's attention at that point in time. And some people are not willing to do that because that's not them. Well, it's going to have to be you. But the part of it is, you can do this and can be part of your long-term vision. You see, you're on a journey, and the vision, what God's birthed, is going to make happen. It's just we're being forced to do things differently.
One of the things you mentioned there, you spoke about those businesses that were growing in garages. Now, there's a lot of people working from home. And in fact, I've seen a lot of advertising about how to fit out your garage right now, how to get those desks in the right place, how to be able to make sure that you've got a space away from the kids. So there's going to be a lot of cars parked in the driveway right now. But imagine the businesses that are going to be birthed during this time. New ideas are going to spring out of it, aren't they?
But new ways of marketing, new ways.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
Digital media, new ways of using offers, new ways of bundling products, of getting together with someone else and actually offering a banded product, putting 2 together to create a package. There are so many ways of doing these things.
That's absolutely brilliant. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, though, Peter, was how do we look after ourselves? One of my concerns is that there's a lot of people trying to balance family life, raising kids, doing homeschooling, etc. Their head must be absolutely bursting at the seams at time. How do you focus on giving yourself time for both business and family?
Well, I think it's the same as we had before this came along. There was problems of balancing family and business. And, you have to work, you had to work at it then to make sure when you're home, you're actually home. It doesn't mean, people say, how do I stop thinking about my business? Well, actually you don't, but what you've got to do is you've got to focus on your kids and your wife or husband, in your family situation. And, in advertising, we work long hours, but I made sure I came home. I didn't go to the pub after. And on weekends, we didn't have to work that often on weekends, even though big agency, had a lot of work on. But I made sure I went to the cricket with the kids. We went on holidays together, and it was that quality time. Now, we're spending a lot of time together, and theoretically in isolation in Australia. We're not like some countries where it is tough to get out.
Really locked down, yeah.
So we are allowed to sort of exercise. So we've got to get creative, and that's why bike shops sales are hitting the roof, because people at least are doing that. But how do you go outside? Camping in the backyard was a unique, it might be one night, but who says you can't do that every couple of weeks? Having a marshmallow, in a barbecue or something, outside is something different. Cooking, what's happening is a lot of cooking is happening. I mean, you go to the supermarket and the cake mixes and everything are gone, but I'm talking to people where the kids are getting creative and actually interested in creating new things in the cooking area, whether it's cakes, cookies, or pizzas, or whatever it is. So there is, it's doing things together, reading something interesting together. You've got to actually almost have a diary of saying, okay, that's school time, that's over, we've got to do our work, but what can we do? And if you want to change a habit, Dr. Carolyn Leaf says you've got to do something different, 10 minutes a day for 21 days. So I tried it, and after 5 days, I said, this is not working. Then I reminded myself it's 10 minutes a day for 21 days. It becomes a habit. So you've got to get this program, and you've got to keep doing it, and then it becomes a way of life.
Peter, I want to go back to a real world example. So some people may not know, you had that life working in the agency, but at a certain point, I forget the year, you had an opportunity to go into business, and that involved Gloria Jeans Australia. And at some point in the future, it became Gloria Jeans International. But you had a real life situation where your warehouse caught fire, and that was going to affect franchisees and the business nationally. Can you give us a bit of background as to what happened and how you guys dealt with it to keep the business flowing?
Okay, well, a few quick things. There's a lot of stories, and the video on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is free to subscribe to. There's over 100 videos there now, and we're adding stuff on the coronavirus thing as well, how to go forward. So 1995, I was approached about Gloria Jeans by our partners, our Connect Group leaders, and then 1996, we actually started. We bought the rights from the US, and eventually in 2005, bought the rights for international. But in 2002, in October, our whole roasting plant warehouse office burnt to the ground.
Wow.
And, with 92 stores open, and you're standing in the car park at 3 a.m. in the morning going, what do we do? By this time, I'd learned that what God births, he's going to make happen. So he didn't start this because of the veil, but it was actually, you don't know this at the time. Hindsight's a great thing, but it was a catapult to take us to a bigger level, because we, at 92 stores, it was functioning okay, but to go to over 400 stores in Australia, then nearly 1,000 internationally, wasn't going to happen with the facility. So the things I learned out of this was we hired carefully, so our staff were really good. We had a great bunch of franchisees. We'd honoured and worked together with suppliers, so we saw them as partners, not as you screw the best price possible and leave them angry. So they all work with us. In fact, key thing is the suppliers, just about all the suppliers said, you keep ordering, we know you'll pay us one day, because you need a
good relationship.
So that was great. So relationships were important. Everyone said that you must have had a great disaster recovery because you're up and going immediately. Well, yes, I mean, in the head. But the thing is, when you work in advertising, everything's a panic. So you go to solution mode very quickly. So I guess you're trained to do that. So together with our staff, we remanaged, we re-engineered the staff. We got them out on the road. We said, we're going to keep opening stores. We were talking to our insurers, the banks, as I said, suppliers. We work with the franchisees to share product around. So every store kept growing. The problem was sales were going up because people were seeing it on the news. And it actually brought people into store. In fact, the funny thing is, one lady was ringing up our franchising recruitment guy while the fire's raging. So I can see the fire on TV. I want to inquire about a franchise. But I thought, wow, that's really optimistic.
She's the right one to hire as a new franchisee, isn't she?
Correct. So, it's having the right people. It's saying, well, we've got a vision. We had friends from church ring us, say, we'll loan you our office, we'll loan you our warehouse, part of our warehouse. A PR company rang us and said, I'll start wording messages to send out to the media and everyone else so they get the right message, not what the media wants to push out there. So because we had the relationships, people were taking the initiative. So if you build the right team around you, you don't have to be thinking for everyone. And it worked really well. The other thing I learned is you have good insurance. Well, we had nearly good insurance. We missed out in one area, but we were recommended after by the loss adjusters to actually get another company, and we actually halved our insurance premiums and had better coverage. So learned something about that as well.
So you come in there, this other side of some learnings, but one of the things I'm hearing is a common thread. You had a lot of good PR or relationship that was sewn back into your business, probably because you and other members of your team had been sewing into other people as well. So it did come back to you. One of the things that I remember working on in 2004, which affected the non-profit scene at the time, was when the tsunami hit Banda Aceh. And at that time, a lot of the donations that normally went to Australian charities started going offshore. And charities across Australia were wondering, what are we going to do? We've got to keep our systems running. We've got to keep paying our bills. And during that time, talking to suppliers was key. I was really impressed by printers, Australia Post and others who were willing to work with you if you talk to them. So I guess that's something business owners need to make sure. Don't lock yourself away. Keep talking to your suppliers.
Yeah, and even people may be surprised at this, but even the ATO will actually work with you. Prior to this coronavirus thing, but especially now, they will work with you because they don't actually want to see people fail.
Yeah. The end result is that we're going to come out of this the other side. So, Peter, where do you see the future? Coronavirus isn't something that's going to last forever. Can you see that we're going to have work differently? I saw Australia Post are hiring 2,000 more people to handle the amount of parcels being sold through retail. So it looks like the economy has the potential to bounce back. There's going to be some hurt, but there's also going to be growth, isn't there?
Well, absolutely. But the landscape, I believe, coming out of this is not going to go back to well, people are saying when it goes back to normal, there isn't going to be a normal what they were used to. Yes, a lot of people have now discovered success online. So there's a whole lot of ancillary business that will benefit. There's still going to be room for retail, solid, leasing sites, etc., but maybe not as many. People are going to go back to that, or once their leases expire, they may use those temporarily and move on. The products that will be invented out of this, I believe manufacturing, some of that will come back to Australia because there's quite a few people who are sick of the delays and, being manipulated around. So there's certainly a noise there. I don't know on what scale, but all these things change the landscape. But I think probably this is the time where digital media has come into its own.
One of the things I like, Peter, is that you're talking on this topic in a lot of the sessions, mentoring, YouTube videos that you're creating. So if people want to connect with Peter Irvine, go to kmomentum.com. It'll bring you to this website where you'll be able to get more information on what Peter's doing. He has speaking engagements around the country. He has resources available, and you can get a sense of exactly what Peter's about through the website. But one of the things I think would be a real encouragement to you is to go to Peter's YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and just simply search for Peter Irvine, Kingdom Momentum, you'll very quickly get some of the videos that are there. And on his channel, this is where you can subscribe. Click the red button. But I'd really encourage you to have a listen to this opening video. It's just under 4 minutes. We'll give you a bit of background to Peter and what he's been up to. Well, Peter, it's been absolutely brilliant to have you on the show today. I really appreciate you giving us some time this morning. And also thanks for encouraging us. We need some optimism out there and some focus. I hope people can tap into the resources that you're creating online as well. You're on LinkedIn. People can connect with you there as well?
Yes, correct.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's have a talk about what we're going to do Next, we've got some more guests lined up for next week, including one of the sales managers from Microsoft in the US. So we're going to be talking to Randy McCabe. He heads up digital sales in North America. So I look forward to joining you on another edition of The Morning Kick. Make sure that you're with us. Go to Excite Media's Facebook page. That's where you'll find all the information. Or you can go to our Thrival page as well, excitemedia.com.au. We'll see you then.